my favorite compliment came from that house. That siding guys were working on it, and they said, "You know what? This house really looks like the owner."
And that's really something that's been guiding you this whole time, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I really like people. I really like the relationships, and so if you can get to know someone, then it makes it a little easier to draw their dream home out of them.
Morning. It's great to be on this podcast about understanding the custom home journey with Dueck Builders. Josh, you've been designing homes for about 10 years since you joined the company. You've designed about 2 dozen homes. You still remember your first one?
Well,
And
well, I'm glad you got the numbers on it. I was gonna say, I wouldn't have known the numbers on how many.
yeah, so what do you remember most about your first house you designed?
Man, I think that one was that Engine Marin's or Elroy's? I think
It was Elroy.
Elroy's was the first one. Yeah. Um, that one we worked with Joan Sikorsky on. Elroy was great. He was fun to deal with. I remember it being very iterative, like lots of little tweaks along the way, massaging it. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was my favorite compliment came from that house. That siding guys were working on it, and they said, "You know what? This house really looks like the owner."
And that's really something that's been guiding you this whole time, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I really like people. I really like the relationships, and so if you can get to know someone, then it makes it a little easier to draw their dream home out of them.
What do people misunderstand most about custom building?
Well, I think my opinion, there's a lot of people throwing around the word custom out there, and it's not actually custom. So I think maybe the exact scope of what custom means, I think, is the most misunderstood portion. Like when you're designing custom, you start with your lot and then you shape whatever house you want onto that lot. It's not like boilerplate plans that we pull out and tweak a little bit.
Mhm. And how is that shaping start? I know we'll get into that a little later, but on an overall huge level.
Yeah, yeah. It really just it starts with the relationship. Like and that relationship starts the minute they start talking to you about maybe building a home, and it just starts by getting to know someone and getting to know what they're like and what they value, how they want to live in their home.
And so one of the key aspects as well that we've been stressing is transparency. And I think that's also an introductory concept here because that shapes everything that we do. Why is that so important?
Many of us aren't smart enough to not be transparent. Transparency is the best way to ensure you're building as a team. You're not constantly going up against each other. You're building as a team.
So the very first thing that most people worry about is, well, can we afford this? What's the budget going to be? If we do a custom home, does that mean the prices skyrocket? How will we know that? Um, so what happens first then when somebody comes to us with a dream for a home?
Yeah, yeah. So the very first thing that happens is we sit down with them. We try to get to understand them, try to get to know them, try to understand what their ideas for the house are um, at a high level, right? Like obviously selections aren't made and stuff, but are we thinking hardwoods or are we thinking vinyls? Are we thinking tile details everywhere or just in the kitchen?
Based on that, we then present a budget to them.
Yeah, yeah. So once we get to know kind of what they're after, we people often ask us for square foot pricing, but that doesn't really work in custom because that square foot pricing can be all over the place. It can include lot servicing. It cannot include lot servicing. So we shy away from that square foot pricing and try to run. So once we've gotten to know the customer, what they want, we run it through our spreadsheet so that we can actually give them a budget. Here, plus minus 30% pending selections. Here's what we think you're going to want to spend on this house. It's not the bottom number. It's not starting at, we're not setting a hook with that number. It's here's what we realistically think your budget should be for a house like this.
And so what is included in those baseline specs then? So we obviously have some background assumptions that we put into those. What's included when we run those numbers?
Yeah, so for us, what we want to make sure is included is that we build the bones right. We do the details right, everything behind the drywall. We have a list that is in our budget presentation of all the standard Dueck features that ensure your house is healthy and comfortable and cheaper to operate than a code built house would be.
And what are some of those features?
So a lot of it is third-party testing that proves that our houses have 50% less cost to heat and cool. So that's done with better attention to air details, better attention to insulation details. We have a thermal blanket around the whole home. It's not just the 2x6 walls with insulation crammed in around wires. We make sure we have outboard insulation. We make sure we put R80 in your attics, and that we have insulation under your slab.
So it's an entire system where every single part reinforces the other parts around it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And what typically surprises clients when they see their first budget?
You know what? That's a good question. Oftentimes it's walking alongside the moment, and so we feel like if we can do our jobs well, we can minimize some of those surprises. I think that there's a level of listening that they're looking for in that first budget, right? They want to make sure they're heard. They want to make sure it's not them sitting down with us for an hour and a half, us just going away and throwing a spec home at them. It's, we heard you say you wanted 2 fireplaces. We heard you say you wanted a car charger. We heard you say, and those things are kind of included there in that budget expectation.
And why is it so important that we give that first initial big number budget for free as part of our initial discussions?
Well, yeah, you want to know what your investment's going to cost you. And so customers need to know going into it about where that budget should be. That way, as we're doing drawings, as we're going along and we're actually designing this dream home, they're not shocked at the end of the process with that budget price. It's not, it's starting at 500, even though they told us, they have $150,000 of upgrades they want. And then once it's all drawn and once it's all priced, they're shocked at that sticker. It makes the whole process so much easier for everyone.
So it's really the fact that we want to be a guide from the beginning to the end, that we're not pushing anything, that we want to see what people want and how they want to have accomplish it.
Yeah. If we do our jobs well, our houses shouldn't look very similar. Every customer is different. And so when we do our jobs well, when we set the stage correctly at the beginning, it allows us to draw out what they really want and make their house look like them.
And so once we have a rough budget and we say, within 30%, these are probably your numbers, what happens then?
So at that point, the customer says, yeah, you know what? This is good. I like this budget. Let's start drawing our house together. So at that point, we sit down, we have the design brief. And that's us going through a document that we've curated based on all the design briefs we've done. And it keeps changing and evolving. But it's basically, it starts with afters and gold. At the end of the project, what do you want it to feel like, right? What do you want your new home to be like when you're living in it? What's the gold, the stuff that you really care about? And for every customer, that's different, right? For some, it's that ensuite bathroom. For some, it's the sustainability or the double walls. So it varies per customer.
And so what I've heard you often talk to people about is you ask the question, when you've lived there for a year, how's it going to feel then? What do you want it to feel like then?
Right, exactly. Because we're not just building a home for 2 years for most of our customers, right? Like most of our customers come to us because they want that forever home. So what is the feeling we're after at the end of year 1, year 5, year 20?
Yeah, and so we're trying to get away from the initial extreme excitement of having a new home, and then in 2 or 3 years' time, it doesn't feel right.
Right.
What you're aiming for is to have the home feel right in 2 or 3 years' time as well.
Right. It should fit. It should fit the way you live your life. It should complement. It should be there for you.
And what happens if clients don't know yet what this is going to be?
Well, and that's a good question. It's a very iterative process. We've seen clients make changes after framing. And so there is an iterative process that needs to be followed. And that is simply, we sit down, we listen, we try to get to know them, draw it out of them what they want. And yeah, our first draft of their custom home plans is never perfect. It's never signed off on day one. There's tweaks. There's always, I want to see this, I want to see that changed. And so it's iterative, and we keep working at it with that goal of what do you want it to feel like at the end of year 1, year 5. and keep cracking the nut.
So, talk a little bit more about what iterative means to you and why that is such an important process.
It's important to me because you're not going to even know all the things you want off round one. You're going to take some of my ideas. You're going to say, I like those. I don't like those. And we're going to listen to you, and we're going to keep designing until you are happy. This is a long-term investment. And so we're going to keep working on that process. And the earlier we can do these iterations, the earlier we can show you, here's what it feels like if you have 9 foot wall heights versus 8 foot wall heights. The earlier we can do that, the more you save.
So, I think that gets at something that is really important here is that you can't just take a set of plans and build a house from it and expect that you'll be happy with it.
Right, right. Not if you're after custom, right? If you're after a track home and you've seen one you love at the Parade of Homes, by all means, build it, go for it, right? But if you're really after that custom fit, that custom feel, that end of year one, end of year five, home that grows and evolves with you and your family, that's going to take some design time.
Yeah. What feedback is most important from your customers, from the clients early on? Like, what are you hoping that will happen in those early meetings?
I- I'm hoping I get some very direct, very honest feedback of, this is what I like about this. This is what I don't like about this. We pride ourselves on, lots of our reviews say that we felt listened to, right? Like, that's a common theme in our reviews, that there's a lot of listening that happens. So that's obviously that's my favorite feedback that we get. And so the feedback I'm looking for is just whatever I can draw out of you that's honest and that shows the direction you want this house to go.
So early on, you don't focus too much on exterior styling or finishes, and why is that?
Right. It's kind of a zoom out, zoom in type approach. So the first thing we want to do is we want to zoom out and we want to look at the massing of the house. We want to look at the floor plan. We want to look at how it all fits together, how it all flows. We're not so concerned with where's there going to be hardy, where's there going to be brick. We get to that stage in the design phase, but there's a lot of hours that go into modeling the right brick, the right stucco, the right vinyl, whatever that siding is. And so if we can first figure out the massing and get the massing right, and we know you're happy with the flow of the house, the function of the house, the way it looks en masse, then we can zoom in, and it saves us a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of rework, rather than sending perfectly modeled houses every time you ask for a revision.
And what are some ways that you help customers sense the massing and bedroom size and dining room size and all of those kinds of questions that people have that typically they don't know the size of bedroom they want?
Right.
How do you get to that?
Yeah, yeah. That one, often there's a lot of there's kind of two different approaches. We can do it technologically, so we can do it with rendered photos from SoftPlan, or we can do it with virtual reality goggles, and you can actually like feel the space, get in there and feel it. Or we can do it the old-fashioned style, where we say, go measure it out. Tell me what it feels like. Tell me what it looks like compared to your current bedroom. I really enjoy getting to see the customer's existing house and how they live in it, and what do they like about it and what do they not like about it. What can we change? What can we make better?
So you're pulling in their history as well as their future.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can only design in the moment, but if we're ignoring the past and the future, we're not going to be very successful.
Yeah, I like that whole holistic aspect of knowing what somebody's history is and trying to pull the future into that into the current moment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how did we get here, right? There's a reason people want to build custom. So what is it?
Yeah. And what are some examples? For example, so somebody comes in and has a really, they think they have a good idea of what's going to happen. What are some examples, perhaps, of why they change something in the plans? Or
Yeah, I would say a large chunk of it is our experience of building homes as a system. So they get the idea that they like this from Pinterest, and it's a nice tiled entry that extends to their tiled front porch. But when we communicate what that costs them, as far as building here in Manitoba and the thermal transfer and all that stuff,
Mhm.
then there's suddenly oh, okay, well, I hadn't thought of it that way. So then a large chunk of our job is, well, here's what you want, here's what your dream, how do we make that happen in a way that makes sense here?
Hmm. And so, how do you help that balance between needs and wants? Because the wants are often top of mind,
Yeah.
and needs are not necessarily.
Yeah. Education. It's building a relationship, getting to understand, listening to them, listening to what's really important, right? Could we build a house with a tiled foyer that leads to a tiled front deck? Yeah, we could. But customers start to realize when we walk with them that that's not actually what they really want, even. And so maybe they want a nice foyer and a nice patio, but they also want their door to not freeze up in winter.
Yeah. Yeah, and the order of importance might change as we think about the various aspects of it.
Right, and that's a small example of that question, right? Even window placements, right? Do you really want a big window on your south wall if we can put one on the west wall, or if we can add an overhang to shade it, or like there's more conversations of the house as a system. That's where we go back to that afters and gold, right?
Hmm.
Year two, once you've lived through 2 winters in this house and you've gotten incredibly frustrated because all your sliding doors have frozen shut, right? And you
Yeah,
can't open them in winter. Yeah, you're not going to be very happy in that home.
right. Yeah, and so it's trying to point out in this process. We're trying to point out the possibilities of what will happen if this path is chosen or that path is
Right,
chosen.
right. If at the end of the day you want to put a skylight in your house, we'll put one in. Like, we'll have warned you. We might have signed a waiver, if that's what you really want, we'll
Mhm.
do it. But oftentimes there's that realization that, oh, this isn't what I really want. It's, I want this feature of it, right? And that's where that listening component, like that active listening, where you're diving in, you're figuring out, what's the real want here. It's
Mhm.
not it's not the Pinterest photo. It's the feeling of coming home. It's the feeling of a nice entry that you're proud of, and how it flows with your exterior space, connects your inside outside living.
Yeah, and I think that's so important is that overall feeling of coming home, that feeling of comfort
Yeah.
that flows through every aspect of what we do and how we design. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can't have a sustainable home without having one you're comfortable in.
So how does cost plus open book approach give clients control?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So after we've done the drawings up, we make sure that customers are happy with, where we came out with on this project. Here's the drawings, here's the scope. Once they're happy with that, we send it out for quoting, and we'll put in budget allowances for the things that they've said they probably want. So, if you've mentioned hardwood floorings during the design process, well, I'm not going to give you a $7 a square foot flooring allowance, right? Here's where you're going to get that $15 a square foot or $20 a square foot flooring allowance. Cost plus gives customers the ability to control the budget, because I'm showing them what my costs are. I'm not trying to sign a contract and then get you with the change order fees, right? Like, it's not, oh, I bet you Cal would pay $25 a square foot for this hardwood, even though I know it cost me 15, 16. It really shows the customers where every dollar is going, and gives the customer the power to choose where that dollar goes.
Yeah, so if they decide to go with that $15 to $20 a square foot hardwood floors as opposed to an $8 laminate,
Right.
that then is their choice.
Right. Yep. And vice versa, right? Like, if they look at it and they say, "Oh, you know what? I didn't realize that I wanted this backlit backsplash detail, and that's going to cost me an extra $5,000." Well, maybe I can afford to do that if I choose to have vinyl instead of hardwoods. But at the end of the day, it's about just educating the customer, showing them what their cost options are, and then they can make the choice however they imagine that their dream home should look like.
Mhm. And what are some of the things that you consider to be smart long-term investments in regards to this cost plus feature?
Yeah, always start with the shell. There's a lot of talk about what our energy price is going to do, what's the carbon footprint of gas versus electric. If you invest in a well detailed, well built shell, well built envelope, all the stuff that's not sexy, that is all behind drywall or siding, that isolates you from the effects of those rising. So that, anything structural, planning for future elevators, right? It's pretty cheap, pretty easy to plan for a 5x5 hole in your engineered wood web floor joists when you do it up front. If you're doing the renovation down the road to put in an elevator and you got to re-engineer it and you got to shore it all up and you got to recut everything, and like, that's an expensive reno. If all you do is stick your reciprocating saw into the floor and chop around the circle and drop the floor out, stick the elevator in, it's a pretty quick way to put in an elevator. So the smartest bang for your bucks are kind of those make the house able to evolve with you. And so that's done by grab bar backing. That's done by elevator shaft rough ends, stuff like that. From there, it's about what's important to you. If you're someone who wants to renovate and have the newest trends every 15, 20 years, that's a different recommendation than if you want to put in one countertop that lasts, the life that you're in the home, or one flooring type, right? You can get wear layers on your vinyl planks. Usually it's worth spending a little more up front if you're going to put in a vinyl plank to get a little better wear layer so it lasts a little longer. Keeps you from having to redo it.
Tell me a little bit about the house where we did a couple of things that are only going to be useful perhaps 10 to 15 years down the road.
Yes, we just finished building one at 156 Egerton, and it was important to the customer that their house was able to grow with them. So when they have use of a bedroom on the main floor, they want to have a room as a bedroom, but down the road they want to open it up to the living area. And so one thing we did there is we framed in actually the whole pocket door system. We put it behind the drywall so that when they want it, it's as easy as cutting it open and there's their pocket door system. Same thing with their bathroom, their main bathroom on the main floor. When they need a tub in it, there's a tub there for now, but we framed in the future curbless shower so that it's ready to go. Rip the tub out, put the curbless shower in. Some of those kind of upgrades are easy to think about and do upfront in that design phase. A little harder to do down the road.
Yeah, so it's a real future thinking involved in the design process.
Yeah, it's making sure that your house fits your lifestyle, like we've been talking about. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years. It can grow with you.
How do you help clients keep aligned with their budget?
That's a good question. That one, so that's important to know. Back when you asked about what kind of feedback do you like hearing? I like to know whether your budget is your primary goal or whether your tastes are your primary goals. And it feels a little difficult, I think, to ask for that sometimes, but when customers realize that, we're in this together, we're a team, I want to execute based on your priorities, it becomes easier to share that information, and then the whole project flows smoother because now we can say, you told me 850,000 was the max. So then we can't design this cantilevered, whatever it is, right? Like it just won't fit in your budget. So you can have those hard conversations when what's the priority. And so if we can work as a team to establish our priorities and work backwards from there, it makes it a lot easier to help just remind them of the budget, right? And at the end of the day, if they've changed their mind and that 850 isn't the most important thing, yeah, we can design it. We'll put it in there. Or yeah, we can do this upgrade, whatever. But we got to work together on that.
Yeah, and so it becomes that team journey. It's moving together with somebody as guides.
Yes. Yep. Lean on our experience. We have some experience in this field. We've done a few of these. Lean on us and use our expertise.
The journey can sometimes feel long. It's often
Yeah.
at least a year or more. We've had journeys with people for 5 years long.
Yeah.
And those are fun journeys, but there's ups and downs. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the emotions that people may experience?
Yeah. This decision to build a house is the biggest financial decision of most of our customers' lives. So there's a lot riding on it. It's their dream home. It's their one and done. It's a very emotional space to be in. And renovations too. When you're in someone's home, you're really intimately in their life. So there are emotions that come with that, and often the emotions are excitement and joy, and sometimes they're the opposite emotions. And so part of getting to know someone over the timeline that we get to know them in, right, like you were talking about,
Mhm.
um 4 years, 3 years, 1 year, whatever it is, you really intensely get to know people, and you build a really intense relationship
Mhm.
through those emotional moments, right? Like if you have a shitty day at work, it affects you,
Yeah.
and that comes into the relationship.
Mhm.
And so it's part of that relationship that we, at least for myself, and I think for the rest of everyone in the company, we feel very honored that we get to be in that relationship.
Mhm. How do you keep people from feeling overwhelmed? Because there's so many spots in this journey where there are overwhelming feelings of decisions that need to be made and things that need to happen.
Yeah, i think I think the easiest way to keep the train on the track, so to speak, is that if we're able to listen at every stage, if we at Dueck Builders are able to listen and understand what's going on and what the priorities are, both the things that are being said and the things that aren't being said, if you can really get into the customer's mindset, that's when you can really help help them identify what's priority, and help them lean on our experience. Every one of us has 20 years in the industry,
Mhm.
building homes, making sure that custom homes are built to the customer's satisfaction and budget and all that stuff. So if you can really get to know them and build that trust factor, that's the easiest way to keep, because I mean, you're never going to keep a customer from being overwhelmed, right? Like it's going to come.
Yeah.
But you can be there for them when they are overwhelmed, and you can help them lean on you and help guide them and help get them through the overwhelm.
And how does transparency work in all of this?
Yeah, I think transparency is what helps build that trust factor. And if they trust you, then they can lean on you. If they trust that, yeah, you're looking out for their best interests, they can trust the process and lean into it, even when it's tough. Yeah.
And one of the things that I notice about you is when something happens on site that you don't like, is that something that I've often heard you say is you're open with that, what happens on site with the customers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to find out one way or another. I mean, that makes it sound like it would be good to hide it, which it wouldn't. At the end of the day, it's their home. It's you only learn, problems plus reflection equals growth, right? So
Mhm.
so let's find the problems, let's identify the root causes of these problems, and let's be open about it, and let's deal with them.
And I think during the building process, because of all of our experience, 99.9% of the time we will identify the problem. And if you come on site and you see there's a problem and you think there's a problem, ask us,
Yeah,
because 99% of the time we've already dealt with it.
right.
And if you catch something that we didn't catch,
Great.
kudos to you.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we're a team here, right? That's why we let you on your site. Most builders don't let you on your site as often as we do. Come to site. Come check it out. This is your home. We're building this as a team.
And we're delighted to show you the bones as well as the finished product.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's important to you. You want to see, where your backing is. You want to see all the stuff behind the scenes.
And that gives you confidence that the final finished product isn't just lipstick on a pig, as they
Right, right.
used to
Yeah.
say.
The drywall is attached to something solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, zooming out, then, building is really about finding a life that fits you. As a new home should fit you well and should be who you are. The goal, you often say, there are many good ways to build a home. The goal is finding your dream way. What do you mean by that?
I mean that we've built a lot of homes. We've seen a lot of ideas come in from a lot of customers, and they're great ideas, but they might not be your ideas. They might not be your version of a great idea. And so there's many good options out there. There's many good things we've done that might not fit the way you want to live in your home. So that's fine. That's not your home. At the end of the day, my goal isn't that my design ideas are all implemented. It's that you love your home and that it fits you. It speaks your story, right? Like
Mhm.
That's the goal.
Yeah, speaking your story, and I like that metaphor. That's what we try to do here is have a house that speaks their story, not ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if somebody's not ready to build yet? What kinds of things, but they do want to build in the future? What would you encourage them to do?
Do a lot of reading and research. And there's lots of good articles out there, lots of good YouTube pages or podcasts.
Mhm.
Um, do your research, get to understand a little bit about what it is you really want. You know, where are you building? Listen to local voices. If you're building up by Kenora, that's a different kind of build, different kind of needs structurally, whatever, than it is out here. So listen to some local voices. Talk to people who've built with the builder. If you're narrowing in on a few builders, ask for some references. Get to understand what the process is like. Every builder has strengths and weaknesses. Find one that matches what you need out of your build project.
And understand that because you're going to have a long-term relationship with them,
Yeah,
you have to be able to trust them.
yeah, and I mean, ideally, that relationship goes beyond the incredibly intense 3 years of designing and building. Y- Hopefully, it's that builder who's there for you 3 years later when your hot water isn't working, or 10 years later when you want to sell the place and there's a little bit of work that needs to be done and you forget who the plumber was, or
Mhm.
right, like find those people who care about being there for you and who want to be there for you.
Thanks, Josh. It's been great chatting with you about this. And here's to another 20 years.
Yeah, that's right. That's a long time. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you.